Hey, I'm Bob and I like to make stuff. Today we're going to put a snorkel on a Land Cruiser. Alright, something a little bit different this week. I'll be back with another creative project next time, but this time I wanted to add something to my new company car, to my Land Cruiser, so we're going to add a snorkel to it. So let me show you how I did that. The kit I got comes with everything you need, including a template for the side of the truck, but unfortunately the template is no good at all. So instead I measured all the distances, all the gaps, all the sizes of everything on the snorkel and translated those measurements to the side of the truck. Once I found where I thought the center of the opening should go, I put down some tape and drew out the circle. From here I put the snorkel in place and made sure that it looked right. I had to adjust a little bit to get it in the right position, but still it was kind of guessing. I removed the headlight by just taking off one screw so I could have access to the fender, and from there I could remove the stock air intake, which was just one nut and one screw. It pulls out through the headlight opening, and then I was ready to start working. I tapped the center of my circle and then drilled a small pilot hole. Then it was the moment of truth. I was really scared about it. I'll drill the hole with a 3 5/8 inch hole saw. Now if you do this, get it up to speed and take your time. With that cut out, I fit in the snorkel to test it. Luckily, it was close enough. I fit on the template and covered up as many of the holes as I could with some tape. I wanted to make new holes that matched up with the threaded inserts on the inside of the snorkel. It's probably a better idea just to get a clean piece of cardboard and start with fresh holes. I added a few pieces of double-sided tape and removed the backing. Then I placed the snorkel into the hole, got it lined up, and pushed it against the truck. I added some more pieces of tape to hold the template against the truck while I removed the snorkel. Being sure to get the center of the new holes that I'd made in the template, I tapped all 6 of these holes and then used a really small drill bit to make a pilot hole. Then I drilled them out with a larger bit to make sure the hole was large enough for the screw to come through. The kit comes with some screw inserts that have a hex head in one end. I added some thread locker to them and screwed them in with an Allen wrench. With these in place, I got a better idea of how it would actually sit on the truck, and I found it was a little bit off. So I opened up the hole with a grinder. This hole's going to get covered, so it didn't matter if it's too pretty. I just made sure to file it flat. Back inside, I added the bracket that goes to the pillar and loosely screwed it on. I want it to be able to move a little bit. I added a piece of double-sided tape and took off the backing. I replaced the snorkel and then removed the screws. The tape held the bracket in place where it needed to stay. I drilled out the holes for the bracket and then removed it and the extra tape. I covered all the holes that I drilled with some rust inhibitor spray and then lined each one of them with some silicone sealant. This should help keep some of the water out of these holes. The kit came with 3 large rivets to fit the pillar bracket, so I put them in place and squeezed them down with the rivet gun. I went around the outside edge with another bead of silicone just to keep water out. I had to stretch it a little bit to make it fit, but I added the rubber sleeve around the snorkel and added a bead of silicone just to be safe. I pushed the snorkel into place and added 2 hose clamps to the rubber connector before attaching it to the air cleaner. This rubber connector made it hard for the snorkel to fit against the side of the truck, so I connected it to the pillar brackets and that pulled it against the truck while I could tighten it up and get everything aligned. I added some silicone to the washers before adding the washer and the nut to each one of the screws on the inside of the snorkel. Now these were really hard to get to and really hard to film. In fact, I had a hard time getting the snorkel to pull against the truck, so I had to use a clamp. Once I had it clamped in place, I could get to the bolts, screw everything together and tighten everything up. And then it worked perfectly. I lined up the hose clamps and tightened them down, one from the top and one through the opening for the headlight. After that was done, the headlight could go back in place the same way it came out. The last piece was to add the snorkel head with the black hose clamp that came with the kit. Then it was all done and ready to try. So you may be wondering, why would you add a snorkel to a truck? Well, there's a few reasons, the main one being that it looks cool, but past that, it actually takes the air intake from around this area up into this area so that you can drive through water. If you go through a flooded area or you want to cross a river or something like that, you're not going to get water into the engine this way. The slightly more practical reason is that you get better air quality coming into the engine from up high than you do coming off the road and coming out of other people's exhaust, things like that. But ultimately, like I said, I think it just looks cooler. The process for adding these is going to be really similar for whatever vehicle you have. It just connects at a different place and has a different contour to follow the outside shape of the truck or car or whatever you want to add it to. If you wanted to, to, you could go full on DIY and make your own and just make it fit. That would also work very well. I've seen people do that out of guttering and things like that from the home center, which I wouldn't advise, but it is a possibility. So if working on cars is not really your thing, thanks for sticking around and thanks for watching this one. I will have some build videos that are actually creative builds that will go onto this car in the future. If you did like this one, I would love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments below or at ILikeToMakeStuff.com. I've got a lot of other project videos of all sorts that you can check out. And if you want to support these videos, Patreon is the best way to do that. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.